Welcome back. I'm Jocelyn. My guest today is former federal finance minister Joe Oliver. Joe, scandal brewing by the federal Liberals with regards to the Sustainable Development Technology Corporation. Can you enlighten us on what is going on? I understand it's an $8 billion fund for financing green initiatives, and it seems that there is little to no oversight on the disbursement of these funds. What do you know?
Well, it's quite a shocking story, actually. I as Minister of Finance, I had oversight over the organization, which was designed to provide startup capital to companies that were involved in alternative energy or green energy projects. And critical to that was that there be a profound and dispassionate and full due diligence to determine which companies were likely going to benefit from the capital and would be able to expand and grow. And I think it performed a useful service in that sector for a number of years. But apparently, it's gone totally off the rails after a audit by the Auditor of Canada. They've uncovered some really disturbing things. Decisions were made about where to invest based in part, apparently, on conflicts of interest, a lack of adequate due diligence. Companies were cleared for investment that weren't qualified according to their rules. This is a full-blown scandal that ultimately the Minister of Industry, Mr. Champagne, has responsibility for. Now he threw the president and CEO and the chairperson under the bus, and now he's fired everyone involved in the governance of the organization and brought it into the government directly. So it's acknowledgement of a really profound governance failure, which has implications for the industry and the economy more generally. There's been a freeze on investments, and I'm sure there are a number of very worthwhile companies that are bereft of capital now and may have gone under because they just lost their way entirely. It never should have happened. I don't know why it did, but it was objectively analyzed, and the minister had no choice but to take the rather extreme action that he did. But he has responsibility for it. He should have seen earlier that things were a problem, and it really started with a whistleblower complaining about conflict of interest issues, and then an internal investigation followed by an investigation by the Auditor General, and here we are.
Unbelievable. What a waste of taxpayers' dollars. It's just disheartening, especially when we're faced with inflation. Now, Joe, you talked about the problem of flight of capital from Canada. Can you just discuss a little bit more about that flight of capital in the minute that we have left and the impact on the Canadian economy?
Well, I think the issue of not being able to retain and attract capital it goes to the productivity issue. If we can't bring in enough capital, companies will not be able to expand and grow. They won't be able to make the efficiency producing investments that are critical to them staying competitive. I mean, we have this long-term problem, and it manifests itself in our dollar. It also manifests itself in the much poorer record of Canadian stock performance compared on average to the United States. So, I mean, there's a very big gap, and that's because the Canadian economy isn't nearly as productive, isn't growing nearly as much, and the average person is falling behind in a serious way. So capital flight is at the core of a problem that this government has to address. And unfortunately, they're taking measures like increasing taxes and imposing more onerous regulations, which are moving things in precisely the opposite direction and exacerbating the problem.
So we're going to go to quick break. You're watching Canadian Innovators. Do not go away.